We're live now. I had some computer trouble, so I had to just get on here real quick. So I did. Everything was going very, very slowly. So now we're live. I listened to a Radiolab episode that everyone should go listen to if you want your optimism to be smashed. I know a lot of people don't want that. Now Greg is on here. Are you low this morning?
What?
Yeah, you sound good. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Eric, like when I get in here and there's only 5 minutes left, my computer inevitably is like, I need to go slowly. Anyway, we got a lot of cool stuff for you guys this morning. Brad is supposed to be joining us. I just sent him a link. He might be like, what are you guys fucking crazy? It's already 10 o'clock in the morning. I've been waiting here for 45 seconds.
I did not get much sleep.
I didn't either. And then I worked that Radiolab episode, and now I'm like,
yeah, I don't know why you decided that this would be a good day to do that. Did you already play the theme and I missed it?
No, I didn't. This is the preamble. Welcome to the preamble, where we say funny things and then we do a little.
Okay.
I was gonna click the button right there, but it was the wrong button. So yeah, gratitudes. First one.
Wow, that didn't take long.
What?
Gratitudes.
I don't know. I just because I've been missing it the last little while.
It's fine. I know it was your idea.
I know. Jesus Christ. Fuck. Jesus. Fuck. So I guess. Well, I'm grateful for everybody that joined us for the thing last night. I was gonna say like I'm grateful for Biden's performance, and I am. But more so just for the flood of our extended family that showed up and did that with us. It was cool to have Brad there. He's still raving. He's like, "Oh my god, the community guys have built or whatever." I'm like, I mean, we sort of built it, but we were kind of just there for it. And
he thought you people were hilarious too.
Yeah, and he's right. I mean, that's completely and totally accurate. Yeah. So. Yeah, Valerie said, good morning. I love Radiolab. I love Radiolab too. I'm grateful for that because I have been telling people, and I'm serious about this. I am getting really, really optimistic. There's a lot of good news.
Corey was like, you should listen to this. I'm like, maybe after the show.
Yeah, maybe. But I want to have a happy day. Yeah, and so this is the thing. Like, I am honestly looking for it, and so Radiolab comes out with this thing. Well, what if Trump doesn't leave office, which of course we've toyed around with, and they actually recorded this before he infamously said, maybe what if I don't want to leave office.
Right.
So it's like becomes a serious issue, and so they got a bunch of people together and they did a like kind of a war games kind of thing with lawyers and people from the Pentagon and it's dark. I mean, honestly, like Dave nailed it. I looked at that Radiolab this morning, super excited about the future, rolls eyes all the way the fuck back in my head. Yeah, I was they had Greg like crazy, like fucking you got to listen to this, and also we're all gonna die.
Yeah, they had done a prior episode about the nuclear football, about and about a guy who asked a question. He was in the Air Force and he'd had a pretty distinguished military career, and he asked the question, well, what if we're not confident that the guy who's giving us the code is actually the president of the United States? And he got kicked out of he lost the security clearance, ended up leaving the Air Force, and there was a huge court battle over this because he asked a question that there isn't a good answer for. Like, that's the thing. They basically said, no, the order is the order, and you don't get to decide whether the person giving the order is competent or actually the president.
Interestingly enough,
that's a
and
problem.
the person with the nuclear football isn't supposed to have any decision making capability. But what we do know now is that the Joint Chiefs of Staff decide who the nuclear codes go to, and they could unilaterally decide that it's Biden wins in a contested election, or that Trump wins. Right. Although, I mean, considering how things have gone, in all likelihood, they'd be like, "Why don't we just give him to Biden and just kind of shove this under the rug?"
Yeah, I'm sure they're really super thrilled to be working for Donald J. Trump. Yeah, they've literally said out loud that they're not happy about working for Donald J. Trump. Yep. So, yeah, I'm grateful for a lot of things. I'm feeling a lot of gratitude today. I'm grateful for my life and my recovery and my family and my home. And hey, Donna, what's tomorrow?
Vote day.
Vote day. So, you know,
I love that she had that like literally locked and loaded. It was ready to go.
We've been yelling that at each other for 2 days now. We're both we haven't been on a boat. Gosh, it's been a year since the last time we did a boat rental, so we're pretty excited we get to go do that tomorrow. But yeah, there's my gratitude. There's my gratitude.
Yep. So yeah, Chad said grateful for a good final debate. I mean, yeah, I mean it's I hesitate with that. I mean, Biden did pretty good, I think. But the sheer volume of lies that go unchecked now because there's no time. Like basically everything that Trump said was like just literally factually incorrect.
But windmill vapors and tiny windows. These are the important hard hitting things.
Right? Like that. That's true. So I guess to the point, like getting past my own, desire to like just beat the shit out of the bully, which I struggle with. And believe me, I was talking to Greg about it all night last night. Because it's a problem for me. Yeah, like it was incoherent. It was completely incoherent. Like all the stuff about Hunter Biden and all this other shit, and everyone was just like, "Shut up, stupid, crazy person!" Like it's not gonna. I want to see one poll where somebody's like, "Yeah, Biden, who we've known for Checks Watch 47 years, is totally corrupt." Now,
yeah, that's a non-starter. Like years ago, hey, there he is.
Good morning.
There was a Pasco County commissioner named Ann Hildebrandt, who was a Republican, but a really amazing, sweet, great human being. And somebody ran against her one year, and their platform was, she's corrupt. And we were all like,
huh?
What? That's a non-starter. I know that I'm in the pocket, right? But I don't see anything you could throw at Joe Biden right now that's going to stick. Certainly not enough to take eight or 9 points off of him. I can't see them running him down that way. And I'm getting mad when they go after him over the thing about him hugging his son, because that's my fucking dad you're talking about. That's who my dad was.
Mine too.
And I just that's not making any headway with me. So, whatever.
Hi, Brad.
Yeah, that's a great attack. Biden loves his children.
It squares with everything else they've tried.
Oh my God, man. It's just it's painful to watch. I think we all kind of sometimes give them this clever credit that they're really these brilliant strategists, and I think there's part of that for Trump in appealing to the lowest common denominator. He's great at manipulating those people, but I don't think I don't think there's any brilliance there. I mean, when you look at them compared to the Lincoln Project, it's just
right. Exactly.
I'm so glad they're working for us this time.
Oh my God! You watch their ads. When you watch the touch points, the psychological touch points that they do with their targeting in those ads, that sometimes don't even seem like they're meant. They don't even seem like they're like getting across a specific message, but they are hitting the emotional touch points of the people they want. Did you see their dad one?
No, but I'll pull it up.
I see that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's brilliant.
Oh, the daughter's one to me was
the daughter's one was brilliant. But this one hits exactly what that little segment of men who are on the edge, on the edge of jumping over to Joe, it hits them exactly right.
There's mourning in the Republican Party.
Oh, this is the
Senators and congressmen are waking up to the reality.
Yeah, I think it's due
Donald
this morning.
Trump has broken their party. They praised his mistakes instead of heeding the warnings, then blamed others to cover up their president's failures. With the economy in shambles, people across America are still unemployed, one of the worst economies in decades. This November, hundreds of Republicans are up for re-election, and with their goodwill run out, many have given up hope. Republicans worry their re-elections won't survive Trump's presidency. There's mourning in the Republican Party, and under the leadership of Donald Trump, their party is weak and scared and powerless. And now, many are asking, if we have another 4 years of Donald Trump, will there even be a Republican Party?
Finish him.
But here's the beauty of that ad. It looks like it's making fun of the Republican Party and the Morning in America ad, but it's actually touching the people who are disgusted with their party and disgusted with what's happening. They're holding on. They're still thinking about voting for Trump, but deep down they know the message is, if you don't abandon now and do the right thing, the party you love is going to be completely dead.
Well, and it's like the donors, this obviously it's kind of because they do psyops too, right? So it's targeted at the actual, it's targeted at the Lindsey Grahams, at the Mike Pence, at the McConnells, because they've got to understand that this is at least plausible, even though maybe they don't know.
And targeted at the people
Marco
that
Rubio
donate to those candidates.
The donors is exactly where I was headed, right? So donors see this, they're suddenly calling freaking Marco Rubio and dude, when are you getting off this fucking shit show? Because otherwise I can't send you any more money, because they're fucking right.
Yeah, exactly. But see if you can find the dad's one. That one is
Yeah, I want to
awesome.
see that. I want to see that.
One thing we do at the start of every show, sometimes we get too excited and do exactly what we're doing right now. We list at least one thing that we're grateful for. So, Brad, I got to put you on the spot. What is one thing? And it doesn't matter what it is, just one thing you're grateful for.
I am grateful that this is so cliche. I'm really grateful that my family has been locked down. We haven't killed each other yet, and everyone's healthy.
That's
no small thing this year.
That's huge. I mean, seriously, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay, Dad, the Lincoln Project. Okay. This one?
No, maybe. No,
No.
Okay. It does say Dad though.
Yes, it does.
But it ain't right.
I don't know if that's the title of it. Men, try that
Men,
one.
maybe?
That's it, I think.
Okay. What the fuck just happened?
Did you do the
To
thing?
raise us to be good.
Sam
Our
Elliott,
dads
what?
weren't perfect, but they did their best to raise us to be good, to be honorable, to be men of family and faith. But above all, they taught us to own up to it when we did something wrong.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Let me go. I don't wanna be your hero.
We may have thought we were doing the right thing in 2016,
Be a big man.
but it's clear this isn't the America we voted for.
Your masquerade.
We made a mistake.
I don't wanna be a part of your parade.
So it's time to own up, to be the men our dads raised us to be, and the fathers our sons need us to be. Because they're watching us the way we watched our dads. It's our turn to set the example. Vote for change. Vote for our sons. Vote for Joe.
The Lincoln Project is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I mean, they're good at this.
They are so good. They crank one out almost every day that I go.
Literally is. It's
Holy
almost every
shit!
day.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
they're a machine. And the other thing that they paint the picture of that I really hope there's some examination done is the piece of shit Democratic consultants, because they are almost all garbage, absolute garbage. And
So-
I'm so over it. I'm so over the pansy ass campaigns that this party runs.
We so this is a good segue to actually get into having you tell us a little bit about your history. And I mean, and I think the 2016 campaign was well known as like basically $1 billion cash grab by Democratic consultants. Like that,
Yep.
it was all over the place. That it was just a giant mess. So for people that are just coming on board, Brad's a new friend of mine that I actually met through sort of cryptocurrency and Chirpcast and stuff like that. Find out that not only is he a hardcore Democrat that will smash libertarian crypto people on Twitter, making both of my nipples hard in a very uncomfortable way, but he's also got like a pretty storied background in the Democratic Party and in electoral politics. So Brad, what the hell? What were you doing?
First, let me clarify that I do have some libertarian leanings on the social side. So, I don't always beat them up. And I will tell you this, and I say it on Twitter all the time. The thing I admire most about libertarians is their principled points of view, no matter the politics of a given situation. When BLM protests were in high gear, the libertarians I admire were saying the same things we were saying about reform, about drugs, about policing, and they weren't afraid to say it. So I just want to say that real quick, because there are some
that's fair. Some that are real and not just sort of like dogmatic.
Exactly. So alt-right in sheep's clothing or whatever. Yeah. I had a career in politics for about 8 years. And it started, I was in college, and a buddy of mine, I'd always been involved volunteering since, junior high in political campaigns and learning it and loving it and being an addict like you guys probably. And a buddy of mine called me up, who was working as a consultant in Democratic politics, called me up and said, I got this guy, he's running for state assembly. I was living in New Jersey at the time. He's running for state assembly. He has no money. He's running against two 25-year incumbents. In the state assembly races, it's 2 seats up in New Jersey. Has no chance in hell. But I know how much you love politics, and he needs somebody to guide him strategically and manage him. Why don't you come do it? I said, what the hell? Let me try this out. So I didn't let him do anything but knock on as many thousands of doors as he could during the time of the campaign, the entire campaign. And we waited and we waited and we waited. And then the last 2 weeks, we took what money we had raised and we bombarded the district with slashing negative mail about the millions of votes that we could have pulled out, about how horrible these 25-year Republican incumbents were. And we won.
Nice.
And
You went negative and it worked?
We went negative hard. I mean, hard negative on these guys. I mean, total just. And we had the advantage that they didn't have any clue after 25 years that anybody was going to actually try to win an election against them. That night, I started getting calls from the DNC, which was just bizarre for a state assembly race, and from the state party saying they thought I was this genius campaigner, right? I mean, it was not a complex formula. It was, meet as many people as possible.
Yeah.
This guy's a nice guy. Everybody likes him. And beat the shit out of your opponents. It's really not complex. But they thought I was a genius, and so I let them. And they started sending me to campaigns all over the country. So I would work 6 to 9 months on a campaign, and then I would work in tech the rest of the time, which is my other part of my background. And I kind of became a guy that was sent in to save or try to save campaigns that were failing or being poorly managed. So I worked on a congressional campaign in Jersey that died a painful death. It was way too far gone. I had a great time. I was sent out to San Jose, California for the mayoral race, and took over a guy's campaign who should have been doing okay, but was struggling. George Shirakawa was his name. He ended up winning, and it was like 10 years later, I was reading New Times, and there was an article, one of those strange, you know how they have that section, or they used to have a section with the strange happenings or whatever. He had died during the last campaign cycle, and he still won on election day with an overwhelming majority of the vote. He was a really great guy. The other great thing about that race is he was half Mexican, half Japanese, and every night one of the moms would bring homemade Japanese or Mexican food. So that was
nice.
Also a great campaign. So anyway, they drug me all over the country. I decided in 91, after a friend dropped dead of a heart attack at 36 from living on pizza and Chinese food and 7 days a week, 20-hour a day work, that I was going to get out. The DNC called me and said, we really need you for Clinton in Michigan. So I went and worked the area between Ann Arbor and Detroit. I figured I'd never had a winning presidential campaign in my life, really, so I would do that. And that was a lot of fun. What we talked about last night was had 3 events with Clintons there. It was great. It was exciting. It was all the things you kind of, as a political junkie, want to live and experience. It was that, because it was just this tide of excitement and movement and unions galvanizing and all this good stuff. And the last night of the last debate, we were all holding our breath, waiting for some other bomb to drop on Clinton, and nothing happened. And I got to watch. So we were in the common area at the university. And there was this rush of people at this gate that we had held back, that the Secret Service had set up, and they just flew over the gate, pushed it down, and came rushing to the front. It was like a Beatles concert. It was absolutely insane. And Bill and Hillary were standing next to me at the glass door, looking out on the lawn, and all this insanity that was going on. And it was a lot of fun. It was a great experience. Great way to end the political career. So that was my experience. I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot. I applied tech to campaigns, which wasn't happening in the late 80s, really. So managing voter lists with databases that, most politicians still aren't very familiar with. Just trying to optimize and automate things. I think I have a good strategic mind. I have a good kind of how to persuade people, psychology of persuasion kind of attitude about marketing. And so I think that helped a lot with what I did. And I'm really good at kind of coaching people who think they're great and have big egos. And so I think that was one of my strengths too. I'll tell you, in that whole topic though of Democratic consultants, a friend of mine is a state senator here in Florida, in Miami-Dade County. But she had run for multiple offices, and she was a DCCC chosen candidate a few years ago. And she asked me to get on a phone call because she was concerned that the consultants weren't paying attention to digital enough. And she really wanted my insights, because that's been my life since, is on the digital and tech side.
Right.
She wanted my insights into what I thought of the assigned consultants. So I got on a conference call with them and started grilling them about what their plans were, what the strategy was going to be, how they were getting to market. And there was nothing that didn't revolve around something that gave them commissions on television spots.
Right.
I mean, it was, and I got off the phone and I told my friend, I said, look, take their money, do not take their consultants, because you will get destroyed. There is no thought about data. There is no thought about digital targeting. There is no thought about demographic targeting. It is just, what can we do to run TV ads on? They didn't even understand demographic targeting on cable television buys. It was
Oh, so they're just going like the local network
just
stations.
broadcast network. And I'm asking questions about, well, are you going to target specific zip codes? Are you going to use the cable targeting that you can to do? It was an absolute train wreck. And these were the chosen DCCC consultants.
Crazy.
You know
what's
And
funny is
that's all
like
I've seen.
2 years ago now, I think it might have been part of the Wilderness podcast that he did, but John Favreau talked about this exact same thing, that if a consultant comes into your campaign office and doesn't have you spending 70% of your revenue on digital instead of television, tell them to leave immediately and don't hire them.
It's true. Absolutely.
Yep.
It's insane. I mean, we have a weapon of the most targeted advertising capabilities ever known to man. And the Trump campaign used it brilliantly. That whole deterrence, that whole suppression stuff,
Right.
It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Piss some people off and make them stay home. It's a brilliant strategy, right? We don't like it. It's horrible. But the fact is that they utilized the data they had to target people granularly, down to the person. I mean, if you want to, you can target people at such a granular level that you almost know the exact person you're talking to, right? One of the things I said, I was on a call a year and a half ago with a mucky muck in the Democratic financial establishment, and I said, why is the Democratic Party not going hard after the Republican brand? It doesn't have to be in an election cycle. You need to be devastating the Republican brand. You need to be going after them hard. And I gave him an example. I said, do you know? Yeah, I said, do you know there are 60 million anglers in the United States? Almost all of them are environmentalists. Does the Democratic Party do anything to let these people know? Nothing.
This is where you just became best friends with Greg.
I talk about this a lot. In Florida, who's responsible for the net fishing, the commercial net fishing ban in the 90s was sport fishermen.
Exactly.
And, and a lot of them are Republicans because they also own guns and they hunt. However, they're reachable on a lot of environmental issues.
Totally.
And we should be going after those people for sure.
When the Republicans are dumping sewage into the rivers, they fish.
Yeah.
They are pissed. And they did. They got pissed, and it just drives me. So anyway, I just want a wholesale firing of everybody that works in Democratic campaign politics. Not everybody. There's some good guys. Biden's team is doing an awesome job. So, I can't. But
and like, Kelly Smith, who's in the thread with us, she's part of our local Pasco County Democratic Party organization. and
Speaking of which,
I've been involved in some of that. And it's difficult because what you're talking about, that stratified, calcified kind of thinking about TV. Even here, we see that, and we don't have a lot of radio coverage, and it just doesn't make sense that we're not advertising for our local candidates on social media more. I mean, we're doing it. Danny Indonino, who's running for state house against a pretty ineffectual but popular incumbent. He's putting stuff out. His campaign's putting stuff out, and we're sharing it around. But there's nobody to help us with a strategy. There's nobody that knows more about that to come in and do that work. Help us do that work.
Well, and the thing I think everybody's missing and nobody's doing it is do it before you have candidates. You got to lay the groundwork, right? You engage these people with issue topics that are important to them, and Facebook and Twitter, they'll tell you exactly the things that are important to me. You can find out everything I love, and you can start engaging with me on information, materials, news stories, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be, come vote for Democrats today, come vote for Stan today. It can be, let's build a relationship. Let's start engaging with the people who we can likely pick off. I mean, the Republicans don't think of it as, I want to get 87% of all anglers to vote Republican. They don't think of it as that way. I want Joe Smith, and I want to find out if he's somebody I can ply off. I want to find out if Sarah is somebody I can peel off. You have to think about it as one-to-one while doing a broad strategy. And then you've got to test. You've got to be constantly saying what things are getting the clicks, what things are getting engagement, what things are getting people to sign up for an Angler's newsletter. We have to be doing it beforehand. We have the Republicans on the ropes. We can destroy their party. And the Democrats are always just waiting until the next cycle, and it drives me bonkers. We should be seeding all of this way before we hit the election cycle. So
yeah, we have two big things with this local incumbent state house representative that should be automatically wins for Danny Antonino. One, she tried to dissolve my town last year through some end around process from the state legislature without input from anybody that actually lives in the city of Port Richey, which is tiny, 3,000 people, 1,800 voters. But I mean, I'm driving down where the wealthy people live around the corner from my house, and I'm seeing Trump Pence signs in the yard with Brandy Goyette and Danny Antonino Democratic Party signs, because they both have a say in this. And Brandy was very entrenched in helping the city of Port Richey defend itself from this bullshit attempt. And the other thing is, we just the state legislature just passed a huge marine sanctuary out off the coast here to protect grass beds, because we don't have coral reefs here. We have grass flats, which are people come from all over the world to fish here for tarpon, giant tarpon on the flats on fly fishing gear. And so they put up a new marine sanctuary out here to protect those grass flats. One legislator voted against it. One. It was unanimous, Republicans and Democrats and independents, except for Amber Mariano. And her dad is a county commissioner who wants to dredge all our canals. So it's pretty obvious that what's going on here is she didn't want it because they're not going to be able to get dredging permits and siltify this huge marine sanctuary right offshore.
Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, but it's just, I just can't believe that more people can't see this about her.
Well, and
the naked corruption.
We assume people know, and especially in a small, the small number of voters that an office like that has, we assume people know what she's done and they just don't care. When in fact, people have just met her or have seen her name, and it's all name recognition, or I know her personally, but they don't really know what a sleazebag she is. Right.
She's sweet in person. She's very, very young. She made national news because she was the youngest state legislator ever elected for a cycle. Somebody younger got elected after her, but she got some national attention. She her first campaign literature said, "We support the full Trump agenda," right on it. She won a narrow victory first time, a little broader the second time, and just she doesn't even know why she votes for things. She's probably a little better about it now, but she voted to destroy the funding for AIDS patient care in our community. And then when she was confronted about that by Brandy Goyette, who's now running for county commission, she said, "Oh, I really didn't understand what that bill was," and yet you voted for it anyway, right?
So daddy's the puppeteer, and daughter doesn't have any control over herself, and we need someone who's actually going to vote intelligently on the interests of the local community, right?
Yeah.
So make it that daddy's holding two offices, not she's an idiot.
It really seems that way.
Yeah. Where's Amber is the
nice
Danny's campaign is going, because she's invisible, and nothing says she's voted for or tried to accomplish has passed out of committee. Everything she's tried has died in committee because it's incredibly unpopular. And she's part of that little pocket of what the hell's his name? Anyway, she's part of this little big money pocket in Republican politics, and she's just filling the seat to learn how to vote like they want her to vote. It seems to be the only thing motivating her. And I interviewed her. I actually did an interview with her where my pet issue in our community is homelessness, because we have an atrociously bad homeless problem in Pasco County. We're
really
infamously bad. In fact, for a while, we were second only to Dade County in the raw number of homeless in Florida.
Holy crap.
We only have 500,000 people in our county, and we had almost as many homeless people as Miami.
Wow.
Right. So when I interviewed her about that, I asked her, "What's your solution to homelessness?" And I don't know that this was accidental or that she mixed up her talking points, but she pivoted from how we fix homelessness to funding the new jail. And what she basically, we're going to arrest our way out of homelessness. That was her.
Well, and that's the whole Republican thing in the county too, right? Like that. Like it's not even. They're basically, she's saying the quiet part like kind of loud.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea is we need a bigger jail because we need to put more homeless people in it so that the people that run the jail can make more fucking money. Like,
I'm sure Daddy fixed that when she got home.
We have a county commissioner up for election right now who told me in person to my face that when she sees homeless people in her neighborhood, she calls the police. And I was like, whose life does that make better? Oh, but we can't just have them. What? I got mad. I told her, you recognize that when they arrest these people, they put them in the squad car, they leave all their stuff beside the road. They haul them 40 miles away to Land O'Lakes to the jail. When they come back, all their stuff is going to be gone. Whose life is made better by you? Well, we just can't have them. She was adamant and defensive. Like, how dare I question calling the cops on homeless people?
Well, we don't want to see anything uncomfortable.
That's exactly what I told her. It's because you don't want to see it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
My property values dropped. He was there for at least a half hour.
Yep.
It's brutal.
Which is laughable because it's the wealthiest neighborhood in West Pasco County. It's right on the Gulf. So,
real quick to Kelly Smith's comment. Yes, definitely look at the angler targeting, but also really try to think about all of the issues. Look, some 65% of Americans align with Democrats and they don't know it, right? So start thinking about the issues that you can pick out that are probably important to the demographics that live in your community, in your county, and that you can start letting them know and educating them on what we're really about, right? And it's kind of just opening their eyes without being blunt force about it. Don't make it be Pasco Dems love the rivers and environment and fishermen. It's let me give you some information. Let me provide you some news and information, and start sliding in the negatives about the Republicans while also building up the fact that Democrats are working to make it a better environment for fishing, right? So it's got to be a little bit subtle, but there's you can build up a lot of persuasion over time with people if you're really working it.
Beautiful. Yeah. And Kelly, along with Brandy Goyette, the other woman that I mentioned, are leaders on this idea. This is why Brandy is getting conservatives to vote for her in my town, is because she jumped in last year and gave them a lot of really good advice about how to, how to project their power, how to show that, no, this is not something that people of Port Richey want. We've voted on dissolving the city before. Both times it was an abject failure. And so now what she's trying to do is kind of go around all that. And what they want, Port Richey was awarded a pretty big pot of money from the Deepwater Horizon spill, and they want that money. Pasco County wants control of that money. So this is all an attempt to try and wrest that $1.5 million away from the city, which is tiny, and spread it all over the county, which is bigger. So, but yeah, and Kelly's one of those people that, like our development problem, we have one corridor in Pasco County that's just overwhelmingly overdeveloped. And we know now that there were permitting process problems, like really egregious ones. Rubber stamp permits that nobody ever inspected anything, parking lots approved that should not have been, that were out of code, and not just a few, like thousands of them that were found in an audit. And everybody just kind of shrugged their shoulders like, oh, yeah, what do you want us to do about it?
Unbelievable.
And we're very red here, like in the entire county of voting bodies, the county commission and city councils. I think the last time I checked in 2018, there were 4 Democrats across all of that out of like 27 voting members of those committees. So it's really bad. And so we can't really fix anything by voting, by we have to get people on those boards. Yeah. We have to get people on the county commission. We have to get people on the city councils. And we're not having much luck with that. But I think this cycle feels different. I think this is why I'm urging people to get out and vote right now. Vote all the way down the ballot, because you have, with a wave coming, and it feels like there is one, there's a better chance than we've had in a long, long time of putting some Democrats in those seats. And we totally need that. Even if they can't get a majority, at least they're there to say, this is our view. This is what we're going to do if we have control of this board.
Well, and like having Brandy on the county commission will just it'll be worth going there, because she's one of these hyper detail oriented people that can spot bullshit from 18,000 miles away. And the entire county commission right now is just bullshit. So, it's going to be like having they will all have thorns in all of their sides.
Brandy shows up at a public forum or like the legislative, when the legislative delegation comes to talk to the public. And when Brandy raises her hand or walks to the podium, they all go, oh, what the fuck now?
Seriously.
They all know. They know. She's like Katie Porter.
Great.
Yeah, so they know. She pulls out that chalkboard, and everybody goes, "Oh crap!"
Yeah, exactly. So I do want to touch quickly on, Drew asked an off-topic question. It was kind of about homelessness. We were kind of talking about that. Is Biden-Harris doing anything to fix help with homeless people? And this is the reason why I wanted to dig into that. Is it's kind of the larger divide between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party for decades. We want to actually do something about healthcare. We want to actually do something about income inequality. And really, like, healthcare is the probably one of the largest indicators of how you're going to end up homeless. Is, you know, if you have a health problem and can't deal with it, right? Causes problems with your job, causes problems with finances. People go bankrupt, yada yada yada, right? So if you look at you know the entire policy platform on Biden's page, I would be able to draw a direct line between almost everything on it and solving homelessness, because they're all the same issue.
That's great. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, when we took part in the homeless census here, the PIT count, the point in time count that the Homeless Coalition does, I was actually shocked by the number of people that told me it wasn't even necessarily their medical problems. Like, I met 3 different men who their spouse had gotten cancer or had a stroke, and they just were there every day to take care of her. They spent all the money that was necessary to do so, missed mortgage payments, and got evicted from, you know, got foreclosed on.
Ugh,
and these are people in their 50s and 60s who had lost their homes because of their spouse's medical problems.
Yeah.
And that was shocking to me. I didn't think that was a thing that I didn't think that our retiree population here had a vulnerability to that, because they've always seemed pretty stable, if not wealthy, to me. And so it was shocking to see that had happened to a number of people.
Yeah.
Once we fix that, you know, it's the poverty issue. We're underwater on the what they call the ALICE score. That's the United Way's Asset Limited Income Constrained Employed Index. I think, and Kelly will have the correct number. The last I looked, we were at 48%. Half of the households in our county are at that line where one $600 emergency would make them homeless. And I mean, that's been going on since 2007, 2008. So it's not a new problem.
Yeah.
And we've had 3 straight cycles of county commissioners that have done absolutely nothing to fix that. Let's go to Borat, because that's better than what I'm talking about.
No, it's really, really important. But I'm like, I've been wanting to play this for the last 5 minutes, but everything is like, no, this is important shit. But Borat, though. So this is an official statement from Borat.
Yakshamash, I here to defend America's mayor, Rudolph Giuliani. What was an innocent, sexy time encounter between a consenting man and my 15-year-old daughter have been turned into something disgusting by fake news media. I warn you, anyone else try this, and Rudolph will not hesitate to reach into his legal briefs and whip out his subpoenas.
I just love that when he's getting his ass kicked by Borat. That's the
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Oh man, it's just so good.
Real quick on those on the healthcare and the homelessness topic that we were just talking about. So this is another one of those things that the Republicans are better than we are. They're better at framing, and they're better at understanding that all humans are inherently selfish, and that they have moved the window to make people think that helping people shouldn't be the first motivation, helping ourselves should be the first motivation. So one of the ways to frame homelessness and healthcare is not necessarily, as horrible as this sounds, is not necessarily, hey, these people shouldn't be suffering, although that's a message that pulls at people, but this is what it really costs you. Right? The fact that people are homeless or the people that don't have health care actually costs you exponentially more as a taxpayer than if they were not and they were taken care of in thriving parts of the community. So it's also important to remember that, you know, I teach a presentation skills course, and I tell the MBA students that nobody cares about you. It's only about me that is watching you. And the important thing to remember is that nobody cares that you're a great person that's running for office. Nobody cares necessarily about the homeless person down the street, although some do. It's more about what's in it for me. And you've got to always keep that in mind in your messaging. What's in it for me?
Yeah, we've tried that argument that it's cheaper to house them than to leave them on the street. And we get no traction with our elected officials on that. When we talk to
they
civic
don't give
groups,
a shit. I mean, that's
yeah.
You know
We
what I mean?
finally
Like that,
we finally have our homeless coalition made some pretty significant changes in the last 3 years. They did a big survey that really helped them kind of sort out their priorities. And they created a continuum of care board that's basically all the providers of services in our county, some of whom are churches, some of whom are hospital corporations, some of whom are individuals and tiny little groups of secular people. But these are the people that actually go out in the woods and care for the homeless, like bring them food, bring them clothing, host food banks and things like that. And the new director of that board, it's like a sub board that reports to the Homeless Coalition Board. Her first effort in this regard was in Vermont, which has a really robust homeless care system. They do a really good job in Vermont. But then she moved from there to Lee County, Fort Myers, Florida, and was talking to, when she would go talk to an elected board about any of this, they just, well, if they're homeless, they must deserve it. She heard a lot of that. It's all junkies and drunks, And so she came here from there, and she's like, no, I fought them down there for 10 years, and we gained some ground. So we actually finally have someone here that understands how to talk to conservatives about about the fiscal end of homelessness. And I think that's it's incredibly frustrating for me. I can't participate anymore because I get mad and I yell. And it's like, people are fucking dying in the woods while you're in here talking about, oh, we have 8 new shelter beds, applause. Fuck. It's so much more severe than that. That it's like, oh, well, look, the kitchen's not on fire. The roof is burning, but the kitchen's okay. And I understand that I'm not the right person to have that conversation because I get too visibly angry at people who stonewall, and that's all you can say about what they're doing is they're trying to ignore the problem or suppress it. And that's, the tearing down of homeless camps, busing people out of our county instead of actually fixing the underlying conditions that lead to homelessness. Because they tend to think that these homeless people are like busing in here from somewhere else. They're not. They're our community members, and shipping them off to another county, making them someone else's problem, that gets them reelected. But it doesn't fix homelessness. Yeah. And that's,
I would leverage the people that call the police on the homeless and turn it into a negative attack on the Republicans that haven't done anything to solve the problem that is lowering property values, causing crime, yada, 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 yada.
Right.
I mean, flip it back on them that they're not solving the problem. Flip it back on them that it's not about, hey, we feel sympathy for the homeless people. We should, but not making that the core message. Make it the core message be that these idiot Republicans are destroying our community because they're not actually solving the homeless problem. They're making it worse, whatever.
Yep.
So, anyway.
Hey, Kelly Smith, if you've got Jess Stempion's ear, she's the one that's running against the county commissioner that told me that she calls the police. If you got Jess Stempion's ear, we'd love to have her on the show. We got, we got some time. We've got 10 days. 10 days.
I'm starting to think we just have Brad on once a week and invite every single person who's running in any kind of race whatsoever just to have questions. They're like, I'm not saying it's free consulting, but
do you have PayPal? Do you have Patreon?
Yeah, exactly. Except donations, preferably in Bitcoin.
I am no longer a paid political professional.
Just a very poorly paid talking head on the internet.
Exactly. This is not financial advice. I am not your financial advisor.
The time that Brad and this guy Matt from Costa Rica was like really, really awesome in the crypto space. We were all talking, and literally the whole thing was just financial advice. And every 5 seconds we're like, "This is not financial advice." yeah, but it kind of is though. Anyway, you'd have to really be into cryptocurrency to get that joke.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
or trading.
I know we're all hyped up. It's 10 days till the election.
Yeah.
That's important.
Yes.
But more importantly, October 30th, Corey, new episode of The Mandalorian.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah.
When is that? Next week?
The 30th.
30th or whatever.
I have to confess that my 14-year-old and I have that queued up and have not watched one yet.
What? It's good. It's pretty good.
Yeah, dude, The Mandalorian is like probably the best thing that's come out in the last, since Battlestar Galactica, maybe.
Oh wow!
It's probably better.
Nice.
I'm a huge fan. Yeah, no, it's
nice.
Really, really well done. Yeah, if you guys like Star Wars at all, just get the fuck out of here. It's really good.
Well, this month we're watching horror flicks because I was so horribly disappointed in what he thought was a good horror flick. So we're working through, The Shining, etc., and just all.
The Shining is so good.
Yeah.
What did you think? Did you watch the follow up, the sequel to The Shining?
I did not.
It was pretty good. Like
Really?
I managed to thematically link it.
Nice.
Through music and setting was really well done, and not a bad story either.
Nice.
Pretty good.
Nice.
I can't remember the name of it now. It's totally escaped me. It's Jack all grown up.
I wasn't even aware.
Dr. Sleep. Thank you, Jareen. Jareen got
Dr.
it. Dr.
Sleep.
Sleep.
Excellent. Excellent. Borat's already on Amazon Prime, Susan.
Yep.
Yeah. It's there now.
It went up last night. It went up opposite the debate, which was kind of hilarious.
That's funny too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Seth Abramson's like, all right, enough debate analysis. I'm going to go watch Borat.
The Room is a good horror film, and Showgirls. Haha, I think that might be I think that's humor. Right there.
That was humor.
Something.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Drew's saying try The Haunting of Bly Manor. I think that's on Netflix. Haven't checked that one out yet.
We pulled up the Rotten Tomatoes list, and I was like, oh, holy crap. I forgot about that one. Oh,
Right.
man. No, like over and over again. I was like, oh, these are great.
Yeah,
So,
I'm that way about space movies.
Yeah.
Like that's my thing. Like Sunshine, I think that's that's one of the best space movies ever made, except for the last 10 minutes. But mostly, that's a really good movie about space exploration.
sounds great, except for that whole last 10 minutes thing that makes me go, oh, did I just invest an hour and a half of them?
That spell job was amazing.
That's really good. It's a good movie overall.
It's really
a
good
movie.
until the end.
Yeah.
I just saw this post by some asshole on Facebook. You guys totally need to see it.
Yeah, that's the future liberals want right there. Who is that asshole? Oh, I know that guy. You're right.
The fucking little the more I think back on it, the more like it really was incoherent nonsense. And again, like the Fox News base, they're nodding along to all of that, right? Because he's reinforcing dog shit that they've been ingesting for years. So
Yeah,
that
no cows.
makes sense.
You won't no cows and tiny windows.
Right, and the whole and I was like, so okay, what do you think about this, Brad? Like the getting rid of the oil industry, which like if you know anything about climate change, it's not an if, it's a when.
Yes.
Like, we don't have a fucking choice, right?
Yeah.
So that whole exchange, Trump's fucking excited.
Yes.
Because now he's like, ooh, big news, because he's a fucking clown.
Well, even the oil companies are getting rid of the oil companies. They're all saying they're transferring a lot of their emphasis into renewables now.
But
so they're moving
I
that
started
way.
thinking about this morning, and like Trump has to run ads on that now, right?
Of course.
In PA in Texas, for example, which is fucking hilarious. But that might play there. But what do you think about the capacity of environmentalists that were kind of soft on Biden, where like the turnout from that side of things, which we were probably going to get anyway. But like that fires me up. It's like, no, he's like dead fucking serious.
Yeah.
For once.
Exactly. Well, and I'm glad he's dead fucking serious. I just wish he'd learn how to like phrase that a little bit better. I don't understand why the Biden campaign has to explain it every single debate, right? It's like, okay, I'm not killing the oil industry tomorrow. This is not January 21st, no more oil. It's we have to make this transition to save our children, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think it's as simple as saying, okay, first off, they're energy companies, not oil companies.
True. Good point.
Right. And so
Good
just
point.
just framing it that way shows that they're transitioning away from oil themselves. And we want to help them do that because that helps us solve global warming.
Well, and honestly, saving our children.
That's good. I like that.
It's like the way that having, and Biden should be watching this. I'm sure that his team is watching this right now.
They're taking notes right now.
Both of those, exactly. Both of those things, Greg. I loved what both of you did. So you're saying that all these companies should be transitioning, and a lot of them are transitioning to renewables, and that's great for jobs, and it's to save our kids.
Right.
Just repeat that over and over and over again. Like you have to start using the mirror effect in the same way that the liars do it. Otherwise we'll never be able to compete, longitudinally.
Yeah, and take that whole language of I applaud these energy companies that are moving forward and being progressive and trying to make change in the world because it's good for business and this is what Americans want. And that's Look, Joe did great last night, but
Joe had to try to defend himself about banning fracking. It's like all the progressives I know are like, fuck, he's not going to ban fracking. We're all mad at Joe because he's not going to ban fracking.
Yeah, exactly. We are entirely aware that they're not going to ban fracking because we want them to do to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
You know what's fun last night was, and it didn't dawn on me till this morning, is how pissed off Joe Biden is about how much money, Trump is about how much money Biden has raised. Did you catch the whole rant that if I wanted to, I could get the Wall Street money and I would make millions more than you?
Oh my God, it was so pathetic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've met that guy I've met musicians like that. Like the one kind of thing that I'm like pretty good at, graded on a curve is music.
Right.
And the bully shithead in a bar who's a musician who fucking sucks and has sucked for 20 years. And I honestly, I legitimately feel sorry for people like that.
Yeah.
You start getting excuses like that. Whoa, well, if I had time and if I had this, oh, so you're just a pathetic piece of shit. Okay, all right.
Yeah. Well, and so I pulled this quote out. The Biden campaign has beat Trump in fundraising every month this year except for one.
And they were spending like crazy. The
raise.
Trump campaign, right? The Trump campaign was like spending on fucking like ads in DC.
They bought a Super Bowl ad.
They did.
Yeah.
For no fucking reason. Right? Like they bilked themselves.
Yeah, they totally did. Well, and the whole Lincoln Project stuff on Brad Parscale was brilliant. That was just great. Get under their
I don't
skin.
even know if I saw
PSYOPs. Oh yeah, they did the ad about where's all the money going, Donald? Is it Brad's cars and his luxury houses? Yeah. It's great. It's great.
I'm so easily amused.
Totally.
So do you have a view on them going dark in some states that seems surprising? Are they that broke, or are they actually thinking they're leading in those places?
Now, what was I saw some numbers this morning. Joe, I think, has like 200 million more on hand than they do.
Jesus.
So,
wow.
And
I saw that Wisconsin after today or tomorrow, from the 24th, no more new Trump ad buys in Wisconsin.
Yeah, well, when it's covered in COVID, it's a little hard to make a case there, I think.
So, what states are you looking at as potentially early warning states or pivotal states for election night? And also, are you going to join us for election night? Because I think your analysis would be fucking fantastic.
I would love to do that. That would be, I can't imagine anything more fun, especially instead of sitting next to my wife while she says, we're going to lose, we're all going to die.
we should probably have a wives support group, because my wife's in the same boat.
Oh my God, it's every day. And yesterday we do a walk every day, and she's like, did you see those polling numbers I sent you? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, listen, you know what? Instead of explaining it to you today, we're just going to go with cynical, because we only got like 10 days left. So it's cool. We're going to lose. We're going to die. It's over.
Tell her to start stocking up on MREs and 7.62 millimeter ammunition.
Exactly. Because
Brad, I would suggest though, because again, I've been looking for ways to pop my optimism balloon, and I listened to the last episode of Radiolab, and it worked.
Really? I haven't listened to Radiolab in a long time. I love that show.
It's well worth it. They did a bunch of Radiolab actually organized this. Somebody asked the question, what if Trump actually doesn't leave?
Yeah.
And so they got a bunch of super smarty pants people together to run war games, including people from the Pentagon, lawyers, politicians, people that are sort of in positions to kind of make plausible moves. And it doesn't go well at all.
Well, look,
and it comes down to faithless electors is what can shoot us right in the dick.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is if the Electoral College gets mucked up, you know who's president, right? On January 20th, if there's no Electoral College vote.
Nancy Pelosi?
Nancy Pelosi is our president.
But who would constrain that? Because here's what's going to happen. If there's no vote by then, Trump will say that the entire election was a fraud, which he's been setting up for months, and they can have faithless electors do that. Now, what's interesting about the faithless electors is if that's still contested, it goes to Congress, and Congress is about to pick up 10 seats for Democrats, potentially, which is going to be a fucking ridiculous lead. And then Nancy Pelosi isn't president, but she goes, I think I'll just fucking pick one.
Right.
And then Biden's president and everyone
can
fuck themselves.
Except that in the House, it's one per state, right? So Democrats, no, wait, I can't remember the math on it, but the math on it is we lose. So because the electoral assignments, if it comes down to a House vote, oh God, I don't remember where it was, but it was depressing. But if they start pulling the electoral shenanigans and the Democratic Party sues the shit and ties the entire thing up in court, just like that's the Trump strategy. But if it flips that way, then we tie it up in court. We get to January 20th with no electoral vote, then Nancy's president.
Huh.
That was on Circus. You guys watch the Circus on Showtime?
I have not watched that, and I have Showtime now. I should.
That show is so good. It is so. They do such a good job. I love that show.
Dave Myers on that Radio Lab. One of the people running the War Games was John Podesta. So we know he obviously had to factor in a stockpile of adrenochrome. I mean, how accurate can it really be?
Oh God,
that's Dave.
The QAnon thing. I do want to give Dave a shout out. He sent us a screenshot. He was hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here, but he sent us a screenshot of him chatting up on a dating app with some lady who was a Trump supporter, and he just kind of like very politely smashed her.
Yeah, he asked her pretty much like a have you stopped beating your wife question.
Exactly. Like, are you a QAnon conspiracy theory?
Let me read it. I'm gonna read it.
Okay, all right.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Dave, I'm so sorry if we weren't supposed to.
So how
it wasn't in confidence, but
so how into Trump are you? Are you like full blown QAnon anti-mask deep state, or like he's good for the economy and I don't mind his racism? And she was like, awesome. Look, I don't get into politics for reasons because blah, 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 blah. I think we're done here.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's great.
Game over.
Scene.
Yeah. This is why Dave is a lonely, lonely man.
I'm not going to answer Corey's question because there's probably people on here that won't like it. So
no. Honestly, like, because I was just looking at Corey Elko's question. I would say if I had to make a guess on that, it's anti-vaxxers or anti-GMO.
Yeah.
I mean, that's and honestly, like, we don't fuck around. Like, that rule number one on coffee: evidence rules. Period.
Well,
and wherever we land on that, it's where we're gonna land.
Did we talk about like the Glenn Greenwalds of the world and that whole alt-left world that's Trump apologists but also claim to be left wing? I mean, I cannot figure these people out.
I can't either. Who's the Rolling Stone guy who used to be awesome?
Taibbi.
Yeah, Matt Taibbi.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Like, they're all like that. It's the it's Eric and his brother Brett.
Fucking Weinstein.
It's Greenwald. It's all of these guys who pretend to be liberal or progressive or left or whatever. I mean, people call me a leftist now, and I'm just like, no. You know what? Because that's that group, and I'm not that group. So they've killed that brand, and they've killed progressive, frankly. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the Trump apologist thing. I don't get any of it. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, it's weird. And like, part of me wonders if, I mean, Glenn Greenwald, I think starts grifting his own sauce when he does the the stuff with the NSA and who the fuck was that guy's name? I'm totally blanking on a bunch of shit this morning. I should drink more coffee.
Taibbi?
Stole a bunch of shit from the NSA. He's hiding in Russia right now.
Oh, Snowden.
Oh my God. Yeah, Snowden. So like does the Snowden thing and then realizes, the people in power are kind of deeply corrupt and there's a lot of crazy shit going on. Oh,
right.
You think? I mean, we already know that there's a whole bunch of surveillance. Right? Like, wow. But I think then the receptive audience for that now pays his bills forced him into a corner, right?
Nice.
And like over time, right? Where he's getting reaction, where he's getting traction on Twitter is when he, basically does this counterculture bullshit. And there's an audience for that now, right?
Yeah.
And that audience is like really QAnon adjacent. Sorry.
Yeah.
Right? Like it that's kind of where that goes. But with Matt Taibbi, he sort of was one of the best people writing about the Wall Street crash and all that kind of stuff. So he's basically maybe steeped in the fact that like all of these people are connected to bank money and yada 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 yada. And so like, maybe that kind of comes to the same thing where there's so much energy that is available in kind of alt-right adjacent, frankly, Twitter spheres and like the libertarian Twitter spheres.
Yep.
That when they say anything that's like pox on both your houses, there's an army of fucking, armchair warriors that are like, yeah, right?
Which falls into their strategy exactly. Like it's like all politicians are the same bullshit that the Republicans used beautifully to reposition the window for us, and they did it brilliantly, and it's the same shit, dude. Every time I engage with Weinstein on Twitter, like, and he and I actually get into it, it's like this flood of friggin' Trumpers. Oh, leave Eric alone, poor Eric. Don't say that. He's not a hypocrite. Blah blah. And it's like, yes, he's a fucking loser. Unbelievable, this guy. It's just fucking unbelievable. And you work for Peter Thiel. Please.
Exactly.
Give me a fucking break.
Yeah, fucking Eric Weinstein's a fucking clown.
Oh God. His brother's a biggest loser.
Worse. I'm glad I don't spend more time on Twitter. Listening to this right here, I'm like,
well, no, and so this is the thing, like, and I had to follow this for moving forward before I pulled shoot on that hot mess, which is worse now, by the way, Greg. Anyway,
yeah,
it's a whole thing. It's super fun. Anyway, so basically, trying to do the whole Unity ticket. Just pure dog shit.
No, please.
Right? And that it just
look. I got my feelings hurt. The children at the university were very mean to me because I didn't do what they said, and my life is ruined, and my wife's life is ruined, and so now I'm going to divide the entire country, fucking help Trump get reelected, with no candidates, no policies, no positions, and I'm here to save the world because I need a fucking ego boost. That's Brett Weinstein.
100%.
And it's like pitiful to watch. And I am gonna dance on his political grave as much as possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Corey wait around in that mud puddle.
No, we're done. The dancing is started. Hold on, please hold 1 second.
Oh, I didn't know that. Chet, I bailed on moving forward this morning.
Oh, you did?
Whoa,
yeah, shit! Oh,
in the comments, yeah. I mean, I wasn't preaching for anything to fail or rooting for anything to fail, but I'm
Corey,
I'm kind of glad you're out of there because I could not listen to that podcast. I just could not do it.
I mean, over 115 odd episodes.
I know, and your stamina in that is like Jackass worthy.
But I wanted to
see the show Jackass where they hit themselves in the nuts repeatedly over and over again.
Yeah.
Right.
But the whole reason was, having a conservative that was super into UBI was interesting enough that, like, wait a minute, there's this potential for through line. Right. Even if he's coming at it from all these different perspectives, we could do it. But ultimately, that perspective is we need UBI to stop the plebs from stealing all my money. Like, that's and no matter how we work around it, he doesn't give a fuck about you at all.
Yeah.
Unless
here we are listening.
Thing, like, if he knows you, right? He comes to know if you get in the circle. He loves Chet, for example. But everyone else who even remotely wants, like, nationalized healthcare, they're a commie piece of shit. Well, Chet calls himself a communist. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you, right? So it's that thing where, if you're Dick Cheney's daughter, well, now gay marriage is maybe okay. But everyone else can go fuck themselves forever on literally everything. And I couldn't platform that anymore. It was driving me fucking crazy.
Interesting that point of view. Last night we were listening to Brene Brown and her podcast with Joe Biden, where they were talking about power, the different kinds of power and unity and all that. And Joe Biden specifically mentioned you can't build a wall high enough to protect all your wealth.
Yeah.
And I've been on that for 3 or 4 years now. All of our new communities here are gated communities. What's that all about, right? It's literally them protecting themselves from the consequences of wealth inequality, or it's what they think is going to protect them from that. Apparently, they think poor people have never heard of ladders.
And security guards are going to
turn on them. Let them in. That's how it always happens. I watch Game of Thrones. I know what happens. So I have this. I think about movie tropes sometimes, and I think the whole resurgence of the zombie movie trope has a lot to do with exactly this: that the zombies represent the extremely poor, and our fantasies about arming up and walling off and shooting them from the parapets. I think that's kind of what that show reinforces, and the doomsday preppers that I know often have anti-zombie patrol stickers on their vehicles and all that kind of crap. So I don't know.
Real quick on the topic we were discussing before, there's one thing I will say that we all. So I have this idea for Twitter and Facebook to have a commonality plugin, right? Where they take the data that they already know about us, and when we are engaging with somebody on these platforms, especially around politics, there's a little signal that pops up and says Brad has opted in for the commonality thing, and it shows me everything that I have in common with that other person. Because when I do that, when I already know someone I'm engaged in a conversation with, I have something in common with. They're Yang Gang, or they're whatever, they're Jets fans, or they're fishermen, or whatever it is. I'm more likely to be less angry in my conversation with that person. So one of the things I want to kind of quickly stress on the political strategy side is we have to, when we're recruiting voters, we have to ignore all the other shit that we don't like. All of the immoral, unjust, unethical shit that we don't like, because we need our hook to get the voter in. So it's important. I'm not saying you should stay on a podcast and engage in conversations you have no interest in. That it made me think of the idea of, hey, here's somebody that actually went for UBI. We think all of the other viewpoints are pieces of shit, but take the hook, right?
Right.
Democrats, we often, from a voter persuasion perspective, expect the whole group to come in for everything we're selling. But if you look at the Democratic Party, we're the most varied group of folks you're ever going to see, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
I think we need to let people know that it's okay that we think you're a piece of shit on these other things because you like UBI or you like Y, right? So anyway,
that was the attempt. Didn't work.
No, I get it. I don't think I could have done that either, but I definitely,
certainly not for 150 episodes.
No.
He's voting for Biden aggressively, so that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, like being anti-UBI now, which is what all of this kind of row is about, because he's a fucking piece of shit sometimes, a lot of times. It's and we talk about this with the Lincoln Project, right? They're a giant battleship with unbelievable guns that are arguably the best in American political discourse right now. And next year they could be pointed right at us.
Oh, they will be. They will. Look, they have a moral crusade they're on because they don't like where their party is, and I think that their basic libertarian rights for all people and those kinds of things are important to them, and they don't want to see this shithole happening to their party. But at the end of the day, they don't like a lot of what we do. So they want to take over their party. Their motivation is, I'm going to pick up the mess. I'm going to devastate this thing, destroy it. It may not be called the Republican Party when I'm done, but I'm going to create something else because I'm sure as hell not becoming a Democrat.
Right.
Well, man, I would much rather argue with Steve Smith than fucking Trump, just as a rule. Even if they are good at it, right? Like, we need to learn from it and have Brad start running a fucking training camp for Democratic ninjas.
No. Well, okay.
I like it.
Sorry, you just got drafted. Oh, sorry.
Hey, we have a ton of candidates here that did their first ever interview of any kind with me on So Local Pasco when I was doing that interview, and that was my intent, was to give them some experience so they knew to pull the shirt down and sit up straight and how to look on a video interview.
That's great, man.
Kind of worked. Yeah,
that's excellent. The media training is critical. That's a great idea.
Like I'm such an example sitting here smoking in my t-shirt when.
Yeah, you're not being interviewed, so. I put on a collared shirt last night for you guys.
What? You crazy person!
I know it's insane.
Just don't come ever with a bow tie, and we'll be fine.
From dead broke to the man Trump can't win without. Brad was getting rich. How rich? Really rich. But don't tell Donald. He'd wonder how Brad can afford so much. A $2.4 million waterfront house in Fort Lauderdale. 2 Florida condos worth almost $1 million each. He even has his very own yacht. A gorgeous Ferrari. A sleek Range Rover. Brad brags about using private jets. Oh my, Brad's a star. And why not? Brad's worth every dollar. Just ask him.
Wow.
How long was this before Brad got axed? Like
I
minutes?
think it was like a few weeks at the most.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we had the arrest, which was fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Now he's got an arrest record to go along with all that cool stuff.
Although I will say that the way those cops threw that guy around, I was a bit shocked by. But
yeah, imagine what would have happened if
he was a black man. Yeah, no, he'd probably be dead.
Managed not to shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. We did a long show today, an hour and 15. We were a little long. Ready to rock on out of here, Corey?
I should actually get some work done.
I am. You know why? Because tomorrow is boat day. We're renting a boat tomorrow, so my roommate's very excited about that.
That's
and so
awesome.
Anytime I can make Donna that excited about anything,
good for you.
That's
great. That's a fun day. Have fun.
All right, guys. I love you very much, and have a good. We're back Monday. Well, Sunday we have church 9:30.
Yep.
Our Church of Reason sermon, and then we're back here with another show on Monday morning, which will only be like 6, 7, 8 days from the election. Holy shit! It's here.
Shit is right.
Go vote. If you've already voted, call your friends and insist.
Yeah, and we're now well
people
within the window. If you even think of fucking voting by mail right now, I'll punch you right in the leg. Like you have to. Well, I don't want to be super mean. These people are all really fantastic. It's vote early, vote in person. Do it now.
Yep.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. This was a blast as usual.
Thanks, Brad. We want you on election night.
Okay. I'll be there.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Sasquatch is real.
Oh my God, he almost